All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Friday Mastermind every Friday, 9 o'clock Pacific. Todd and I, often we will have Deborah Bird more times than not, and we have just amazing guests. Before I bring on today's guest, Todd, anything you want to say, brother?
Well, I just can't tell you how excited I am for today. To have obviously hang out with you, Dave, as always is exciting, but to get to catch up with the person who impacts me a couple times a month as my personal coach, and really has been kind of this game changer in the mindset that I have had the last few years. So I'm very fired up for Jonathan Roche to be here, and let's go.
So guys, Jonathan, I've interviewed him so many times. I could say he needs no introduction, but he does because we've got some people on here that probably haven't heard from Jonathan Roach before. So first of all, he's a best-selling author of multiple books. He coaches and mentors a number of some of America's top loan officers, including the number one loan officer in America, Shant Bedosian, who he coaches and mentors. He is a coach to multiple professional athletes. I'll let him speak to how many athletes he's coaching right now. D1 sports programs, where he's a mindset coach, a performance coach and mentor to a number of top D1 teams. But to me, the most impressive thing about Jonathan is just how many consecutive years he's completed the Boston Marathon. How many years are we up to, Jonathan?
30.
So
30, the
so
big
so
3-0.
guys, so get
Yes.
think about that. Like he has to, you know, be healthy enough to run it, to qualify for it, and to complete it 30 times. Which is no small feat, and do it in a competitive way and raise a lot of money for his nonprofit. So we've got a really special human being here today. He always is pretty thoughtful about like what is the topic at hand. And Jonathan's headlines were the three key habits to unlock your full potential in 2026. So, Jonathan, anything I left out of that bio that we should call out real quick before we get into the topic at hand?
Yeah, no, I appreciate all of that from both of you guys. Fired up to pour into the community. If you thought I've lost or think I've lost my mind for running so many Boston marathons, it's a glowing example of when our why is strong enough, we can do anything. So I run in memory of my beautiful mom. She was treated at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. My goal is to run 50 straight, and I'm blessed to have already done 30. So my 31st is 13 weeks from Monday. So really excited to connect with you guys. We'll jump right in. As Dave mentioned, I've been blessed to serve some of the top people in your beautiful industry for about a decade, including Sean Panosian, who's the number one person in your space. Obviously, he's a beast. I've had a front row seat on that. I've been coaching him. I think we're going on year 5 now. Success leaves clues. Today is really about simplicity. So it's not, here's this big chart or this fancy thing. In simplest term, well, first off, it's coaching session. So I'm going to coach you for 60 minutes. I'm going to vibe with Todd and Dave, and we're going to pour in. The three of us are going to share actionable tools and strategies. So it's not a motivational 60 minutes, rah, rah. That's not what I do. I guide world-class high performers with specific tools and strategies to elevate. I'm going to give you a couple right out of the gate before I share a story. In simplest terms, as you approach a new year, I would pass everything through 3 filters: simplify, systematize, and optimize. So we want to simplify everything personally and professionally, just curate it down, filter it down into its like core. What are the really most important things? We want to simplify. Then we're going to systematize. That's just a fancy way of saying we're going to build habits around that. And then we're going to optimize the habits. It's this loop. It is that simple. Not easy, but simple. And a lot of people, they want the fancy thing or where's the quick fix of the hack? There's no hack, there's no quick fix, there's no magic button. The greats, whether you're talking to Sean, I coach NFL, NBA, PGA, MLB, NHL, all 5 of the major sports leagues, top athletes in all of those leagues. I have a really fun job. It's insane. And they are just absolute beasts in their simplifying things, systematizing everything, where they almost operate like robots because they can guarantee favorable outcomes based on the quality of the systems, and then optimizing those systems. This is like Jocko, who's obviously world class. One of his unbelievable quotes is discipline equals freedom. That's really what this is about, is the discipline of the planning of going through these three key things leaves you this state of freedom. And we think it's the opposite. Todd or Dave, you want to jump in on any of that so far?
Well, I know the note that I wrote down is I'm calling this the SSO loop because I could totally see the metaphor, how it's just this it's looping. And so I actually have not heard this. Again, I had Jonathan as my active coach for multiple years. I know, Todd, you're still full-time coaching with Jonathan, so maybe you know about the SSO loop. Were you already familiar with that, Todd?
I am familiar with it, and I think it's so important because what I find with loan originators, and when I say this, I look at myself in the mirror, right? If I was in my old office, I had this drawer down here that I intentionally left stuff full of projects and ideas, things I started that got 80, 90, 95% done, but they were so complex they never got launched. It was that I was trying to get perfection. I wasn't just trying to actually get it done. And so I have a friend, Michael Regan, who always says, that complexity is the enemy of profitability. And so I think that there's a lot of you on this call that really need to pay attention to what Jonathan's talking about, because you have things that you've wanted to start. If Deborah was here, she would say it's your social media, right? Doing videos. There's something that you want to do and you've just overcomplicated it instead of just hitting the button and hitting the gas and saying go.
Love that. By the way, I don't know if you noticed it, Jonathan, but John just shared that he's got an agent who's run 59 straight Boston marathons this year. Will be her 40th. It sounds like you might need to know this agent. And isn't there a pretty small club of people that have done over 30 Boston marathons consecutively? Like there's an actual community of you guys.
Yes, I'm laughing because this is such a crazy group of people. So it's called the Quarter Century Club, which is all these nut jobs. I'm one of them that have run 25 or more straight Boston marathons. And we all get together marathon weekend. And I learned very quickly the first time I joined the club, don't start comparing notes of what you've done. Because I like asked this dude across to me, like, how many marathons did you run? The guy's like, 141. I'm like, did that guy just say 141? Have you lost your mind? And then the lady next to me was some other crazy number. And so it's all these really remarkable human beings who have different whys on why they would do that. But we get together in the North End the Saturday before the Boston Marathon every year, do a family, except not a family, but a team picture. We have a nice dinner. And yeah, it's a wild group of very serious runners, which may sound strange. You're like, what about you? I'm a runner to impact Dana-Farber, but I'm not like ripping it, or I don't have like my times or whatever. I just like I love the idea of using running. This is a coaching tip, by the way. You don't have to be a runner. Don't worry about it. Using running or exercise as a vehicle to transport you to who you deserve to be. So I'm not like, I want to be Mr. Boston Marathoner. No, I want to impact Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and I want to be a better dad, a better husband, a better teammate, a better coach, period. So like when I go run, that's what I'm doing. I would invite you to view exercise and movement and sweat and endorphins as nothing more than that. I want to give my family my A game. I want to bring energy and enthusiasm, which I think those two things are probably the most overlooked opportunities in business and life. If your energy is on and your enthusiasm is up, people are drawn in. And this is going to sound snobby, but I'm coaching you guys. I'm just going to be candid. If you want to draw in A's and repel B's, crank your energy up and your enthusiasm. Because world-class people are drawn into that. We love enthusiastic people. They could be a mortgage professional, they could be a performance coach, they could be some pro athlete, they could be the mailman, whatever. When people are enthusiastic, we get inspired by them. Like, why is that lady so happy? And as a mortgage professional, yes, you have to know what you're talking about. You need to know how to really articulate the value proposition, that you're a trusted advisor, not just doing their mortgage. Like, no, this is so much more that you guys do. You have to know all that and nail all that. But ultimately, you need to layer that on top of this enthusiasm. Who gets to do this for these families? This is awesome, man. And and do it in an authentic, energized way. Not, and I don't mean this rudely, not like I need to watch a video in the parking lot and then I'm going to go in and meet with the Smiths or whatever. If you need a video or you need something to fire you up, I don't mean it rudely, but it's kind of too late. Like I woke up at 5:30 this morning. My normal wake up's at 6. And so Karen's like, "Have you been up?" And I said, "Yeah." I got up and immediately was like, "I'm pumped to be on with Dave and Deborah and Todd today." And she's like, "That's super weird." I go, "No, it's awesome." So thoughts from either of you guys before we really get into this?
Dude, you're firing me up. I love the comment that enthusiasm tracks the A's. And to your point, people that are not enthusiastic are probably like, dude, this guy's a little too fired up for me. So it's a qualifier too. I dig that. So let's get into like what are the three habits, brother?
Yeah, so I think the first habit is the idea of nailing your self-coaching choice. So up to about 6 months ago, and I've been blessed to serve Todd and served as Dave's coach for a long time, friend of mine, huge fan of both of these human beings. Up to about 6 months ago, I thought that why I'm here on this earth was to guide people in simply nailing what I call their voice choice. We're going to choose your positive voice over your negative voice. Now, what we're covering right now is the most important thing. After 25 years of coaching high performers, this is it right now. Again, nailing your self-coaching choice. So I used to say, well, it was as simple as negative voice, positive voice. Negative voice is our biggest critic, talks us down, focuses on what's wrong. Oh my gosh, the industry, or I thought the rates were going to go even lower, or my boss is being a nut, or whatever. And it's kind of like a negative person that comes over, and not surprisingly, when they leave your house, you're kind of like your shoulders are dropped. On the flip side, we all have a positive voice in our head. Positive voice is our biggest fan. Attitude of gratitude. Who gets to do this? It's Friday. I'm listening to this podcast. Industry's turned. I survived it. Rates are moving in the right direction. Good living. And we get to choose who's at the podium of our mind. I've brought it a step further in these last 6 months since I've been my last time spending time with you guys. And it's to realize that every Monday morning, we all get 168 hours. Every one of us. Here's your 168 hours. If you're sleeping 7 hours a night, 7 days a week, that's 49 hours. So in simple math, right? 168 minus 49, we're at 119. Let's call it 120. So you're coaching yourself 120 hours a week. Whether you realize it or not, you go, no, I've got, whatever. I got this performance coach, Jonathan, or I've got this, whatever. I got some other coach, or I got a business coach. I don't mean this rudely. We're like rounding errors. 120 hours a week. You cannot escape. There's no turn off button. You're coaching yourself. So the question is for 2026, which is why I'm blessed to be with you guys today. Historically, who have you been coached by? I'm not talking external, internal. Who are you being coached by? Up through now, learning this. And then moving forward, how are you going to coach yourself in 2026? So we're going to go through these 5 different self-coaching choices. This is the most important thing that I could guide another human being on. And I believe it's our biggest opportunity from a leadership standpoint, 1,000,000% from a parenting standpoint. It's showing others what's possible as we coach ourselves up. So I have a story around this, but I want to hear Dave and Todd's thoughts, or people can jump in through the community on this idea of like, wait a minute, I'm my own coach. Yeah, for 120 hours a week.
Yeah, I think
So,
it's so important, right? I think that's where, one of the biggest changes for me, since you kind of brought me to that framework was just this whole idea to remember to be extremely positive, right? That's really a thing. I write it in my planner every day. And, you taught us years ago when Dave and I were both coaching together was be world class. And so I look at what does that look like? And then, I used to always go to gratitude. Anytime I had a negative thought, I tried to think about how I could be grateful for it instead. But just this other filter now of being extremely positive, I think has been a game changer for me ever since because it's taken the percentage of time in a day. I don't know you probably know the statistic, Jonathan. I heard that the average person has 60,000 thoughts and 83% of them are negative. And I'm like, gosh, if I can have less negative thoughts in a day, or more importantly, just get out of it quicker when it happens, it's been amazing. So I'm super excited as you roll it out for everyone else.
so couple thoughts that hit my mind. So when you said you wanted to talk about the 3 habits to unlock your full potential. I'm like, well, one of them is positive voice choice. And I will tell anyone listening to this, while, during my 2 or 3 year period where Jonathan was my coach, one, I lost 38 pounds during that period of time. So there was a real breakthrough I had. But I would say, of all the things that I just remember all the time, is that PVC, positive voice choice. And I also know I'm wearing a bracelet right here. It says PVC. Uh, One of Jonathan's clients who he coached, Chris Devon, top producing loan officer that I interviewed a couple of weeks ago, who's not only doing over 100 million in volume, so he's doing a lot of volume, but he's fighting cancer. And so, a number of things he took from Jonathan were positive voice choice. So I do want people to write that down, PVC, positive voice choice. Although it sounds like, Jonathan, you've raised the bar. Like positive voice choice is good, but I'm looking forward to where this goes in terms of, like, no, self-coaching. So I'm looking to hear how you've really elevated it. So I'll let you keep going, but I do know I want to talk about this voice choice versus self-coaching choice, and I'm interested to learn more.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to share a story real quick about this, just to give it some context. So I don't advertise. I'm blessed. I just pour into world-class athletes and executives. I don't share the names of any of the athletes that I coach. I've had friends, maybe someone named Dave, tell me, you gotta get an Instagram page. You gotta get it. I don't do any of that. I just
Dude, you need to get an
pour.
Instagram
I
again.
know,
Just
right?
take what you're doing on Facebook and just put it on Instagram, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So
Come
the
on.
bottom line is I receive calls from agents. So that's kind of the how I would earn the opportunity to serve a new athlete. So I got a call about 18 months ago about one of the top golfers in the world from his agent saying, he's this unbelievable guy. He's X number in the world. He's his biggest critic. And obviously, share the athlete's name. I knew his name. I coached 2 of the top 10 golfers in the world. And so when I started with this golfer, he's a freaky athlete, like his image is all positive. But what we do as humans, and I'm not trying to be like weird on you guys when I am coaching you, we share what I call above the iceberg. So if you look like a visual of an iceberg, right? You see the top of the iceberg. I go, Dave, how you doing? He's like, I'm good, man. I go, Todd, what's up? Oh, everything's awesome, man. Okay, happy Friday, guys. But below the water, everyone has all this stuff going on. Every one of us. Anyone that thinks, oh no, I'm perfect. It's like you're only kidding yourself. We all got stuff going on. So what happens is a lot of times we're showing up to life and we're trying to be positive. We're not dumping our issues on people, right? Because that's weird. But we also have all this stuff going on below the water. And this particular athlete he's got his brand and he's ripping it as a professional athlete. But meanwhile, the whole time he's being coached by an internal bully. And the only issue, or actually multiple issues, and a very big issue is no one knows it except for him. And until I started coaching him and really explained it, and hopefully a bunch of you today watching this either live or on recording, and have this epiphany like, wait a minute, he's right. I'm my worst critic. Why am I pouring in all my friends and my spouse and my partner and my boss? Oh yeah, you're doing awesome. But then meanwhile, I'm leaving myself scraps, or I'm literally doing the opposite. So as your performance coach, I just want all of you to realize we have 5 self-coaching choices. And I'm going to make you guys go through this. So don't do the whole like, oh, I'm just going to watch this while I check email. Don't do that. You deserve to take action on what I'm coaching you on right now. I've taken 25 years, spoon-fed it down. What's the most important thing? It's your self-coaching choice. And it's these 5 self-coaching options that we have. I'm going to describe them, and then I'm going to invite you to come up with what percentage out of 100 are you coaching yourself that way. And again, don't blow it off. Don't go, oh, I'll do it later. No, you're too world class. You didn't show up by mistake today. This is all part of the plan that I'm blessed to serve you today. That Dave and Todd and I, the 3 of us, are serving you, right? So here's the 5 different self-coaching choices. And most people have all 5. Everyone, I believe, has at least all 3. So here they are. Number 1, extremely negative. This in what I would write next to your notes of extremely negative is parentheses degrading. This is speaking to yourself in your head in a way you'd never communicate to another human being. Um, a lot of professional athletes will be like dropping F-bombs at themselves, thinking that that's going to like jack them up. It's actually demoralizing calling yourself an effing whatever. No, no, don't do that. In calling yourself an idiot or I screwed it up again or, literally talking yourself down. And the more time we have on this planet, the more we like remove ourselves from people like that. I don't talk to people like that. Nor does Dave, nor does Todd, nor does any of you guys. Forget that. Life's too short. But meanwhile, we run ourselves over in our head. And it's a pattern that sometimes we pick up. And I'm not trying to turn this into like, hey, I'm a therapist. I'm a fan of therapy, by the way. That wasn't a jab. But maybe you learned it from a parent. Maybe you had some crazy coach who like talked to you like, you're going to be that old school coaching approach. And somehow you took that on. But extremely negative self-coaching is demoralizing. All it does is make you feel less than. For a female, if they call themselves the word FAT in their head, even if they're kidding around, that's an extremely negative self-coach. That's demoralizing. You go, no, I was just making a joke about it. No, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. You wouldn't say that to your friend. You certainly wouldn't say it to your daughter. So when you think in terms of extremely negative self-coaching, most people aren't spending a huge chunk of time there, but they're spending enough that it hinders how they want to show up and who they deserve to be. Does that make sense?
It
Todd,
does.
Dave, any questions or thoughts on that?
Don't do it, guys. No extremely negative self-talk. Like,
Boom. So level 2 is negative. This is when you're viewing everything through this whole like what could go wrong. And we're looking at, again, what's wrong with everything from the weather to your boss, to your spouse, to your partner, to the forecast on the rates and everything else. It's kind of, again, like a negative person. They're not extremely negative, but they're just kind of like not good energy. The opposite of that energy and enthusiasm we were talking about a little bit ago. And what happens is people have that negative voice at the podium of their mind, and that negative voice has them overthinking. It has them procrastinating. It gives them excuses that constantly cause you to push things to the next day. Or, oh, it's Friday. I guess I'm not going to make my calls. I'll do it on Monday. And again, it just hinders how you want to operate, but more importantly, how you want to feel. Make sense so far? Could I get a thumbs up? You guys tracking on this? We're good?
2 thumbs up. Everybody, hopefully you're taking notes. You're thinking to yourself, like what percentage of time you're spending in these various personality types.
Correct. Number 3 is passive, where you're not really coaching yourself up or down. You're kind of like, what is this guy talking about? I just make my calls, or I just serve these families, or I vibe with my team. Or for an athlete, like, no, I'm just hooping. What's he talking about? It's passive. Now, here's the interesting thing. The more world class you are, the more time you've had under passive leadership or passive coaching, which could be like, what does that mean? Because if you're world class, the coach is pouring into everyone else who's not keeping pace. So it's not the coach doesn't say, hey, Lisa, I'm not interested in coaching you. The coach is indirectly saying, Lisa, I can't pour into you because I got to help Sue and I got to help Jenny and Lucy and everything else. What happens? So we have a lot of reps under passive leadership and passive coaching. So we don't actively coach ourselves. We just go, no, just go about our business. Huge missed opportunity. So that middle pocket, which again isn't negative or positive, it's just kind of passive. It's just, I just go about my stuff. But think about just going out about your stuff you're missing out on 120 hours of coaching. And this isn't a jab at me or coaching industry in general. You are the resident expert on you. I could give you a bunch of key stuff. You should do this and do this. You already know. And then again, I believe I'm the top performance coach in the world. I literally believe that. And I have the data to show that based on these world-class athletes and what they've done and what they're doing. But the reality is, you know what to do. So we never want to be in a passive state. It's like, forget that. Coach yourself up. Make sense?
Makes perfect sense.
Awesome. Level 4, positive. Positive, we're looking through the lens of what's right. All right, cool. It's Friday. Again, rates are coming down. Survive the industry. All right, cool. This is good. We got, I'm a part of an amazing team. I understand the value proposition. I'm not a mortgage advisor. I'm a trusted advisor. Like I understand. I use MortgageCoach. Like I got it. And it's again that positive person. And when you're around him, you're like, I feel better when I'm around her or him. And so we want to, on a bad day, be coaching ourselves as a positive coach, right? That's level 4. Level 5, though, which is the sweet spot, is extremely positive self-coaching. Now, here's some attributes of extremely positive self-coaching. Number 1, you're active. It's active. It's not passive. You're active. It's intentional. So you're actively doing it and you're intentionally doing it. And you got to put reps in. So I'm not a fool. I'm not like expecting someone to reach out to me through LinkedIn. Oh my gosh, your thing on Friday, my life's been perfect ever since. No, you got to put in your reps. Just like these athletes, they got to rep it out. Like mindset habits, we gotta put in the reps and keep fighting off that negative voice that goes, this is kind of cheesy and the guy talks too fast, whatever. It works. It works. So active, intentional. Here's the third character attribute of an extremely positive self-coach. Best friend coaching. I would definitely write that down. Best friend coaching. Now, again, negative voice, oh, it's super cheap. No, we didn't ask negative voice. Thank you. We're good. We're good. Positive voice. Here's what best friend coaching is. If your best friend comes to you and says, like, so say Todd says to Dave, like, Dave, I know it's kind of weird, but can you coach me on something? And then Dave makes a joke and Todd's like, no, I'm serious, man. I need your input on something. He goes, okay, what's up? And if Todd explains something to Dave and he's actually wrong, Dave certainly is not going to drop F-bombs. He's not going to tell him he's an idiot. He's definitely not going to raise his voice. He's just going to go, no, Todd, you're wrong. But it's a very light conversation. It's about forward progress because he's his friend and he cares about him. So it's a very tactical, no, actually, Todd, I'm telling you, it's wrong. You're wrong. You got to make these adjustments. And then it's all about forward progress. On the flip side, though, when our friends, again, best friend coaching, when they do something positive, big or small, we're psyched. It's not like, oh, cool, Todd, that's great. You got that speaking gig. Dave's like, that's awesome, man. How many people? It's like, it's 500. He's like, that's amazing. Good work, man. I didn't even know you were being considered for that. And then Todd's like, yeah. So we celebrate our friends' big and small accomplishments, especially our best friends. But then we don't do that for ourselves. And I don't mean like creepy, like I'm the man, which is annoying. We're not talking crossing from confidence to ego, annoying people. We're talking in your own head, being like, that was awesome. I just ripped that call. Or like, that was amazing. I didn't even hear from them yet, but that's about as good as I can present the value proposition or how I could partner with this family. And literally, it's not 5 minutes, rah, rah, I'm the man. No, in your own head, like, that was great. That was close. Or that was exactly what I wanted to do. And then when you have wins, celebrate it like your friends or your spouse or your partner celebrates it for you. They're like psyched. They're like, oh my gosh, Dave, that's amazing. I Trust Engine's such the right name. And like, people aren't like, oh, I kind of like the new logo. No, his best friends are like, this is insane. Look at this thing. We should be doing that in our own head. You want to coach yourself like you coach your best friend. Does that resonate?
Love it. Love the 5 levels of personal coaching. And I want to ask you a question. And you and I think we talked about, I can't remember the name of Trevor Moawad's first book. It Takes What It Takes. It Takes What It Takes, which I was a big fan of that book. I actually interviewed the late Trevor Moawad. Unfortunately, he passed a few years ago. But I remember something in that book where it talked about when you say something out loud, he told a story how it like 7X's it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a self-talk we have, and obviously it has impact and it has value. But when you actually say it out loud, it 7X is the impact. So if it's positive, it's 7X positive.
Mm-hmm.
If it's negative, and I have always personally believed that because I just think how it influences you when you say it outside is more emotionally charged. It's more truth. It's this, and then of course you're either elevating the people around you or you're polluting the people around you if it's negative. What are your thoughts on that whole, is it 7X? Is it 2X? Is it Jonathan Roche? No, Dave, it's 20X. Like, how do you think about the difference between internal coaching and talking and external?
I love that. And Trevor Moad, if I'm saying his name correctly, he's one of the best performance coaches in history. Ironically, I just got a call 2 days ago from a top NBA agent about a new player, and that player used to be coached by Trevor. He brought that up, and I was like, "Oh, that guy's a rock star." In this idea, what Dave just mentioned, alley-oop, that I was going to forget, is when you verbalize it, it really elevates. I think Trevor said it was 7X. I've seen research all over the place from 2X up to 15 or something like that. At the end of the day, it's exponentially more than if you just say it in your head. Obviously, you got to pick your spots, right? You're not like at the supermarket reading this text, you're like, they're in, they're in. You're like, what else is that dude doing? But in your own head, or even when you're in your own office, and you could be like, that's super cheesy. Call it whatever you want, but call it effective. Like when I have a call and an athlete's like, yeah, listen to this, and I get off, I'm like, oh, awesome, man. He's like killing it right now. And I literally be saying that. And Karen's probably like, is he talking to someone or what's he doing? Doesn't matter. I'm pumping myself up to go bring it to the next person I'm blessed to serve. And so whether we're saying it in our head or we're saying it externally, this just works. It's 120 hours a week. And you can have the best coach on the planet, right? I'm blessed. I vibe with my athletes or executives or these high performers 30 minutes a week. We're a rounding error. And I'm not diminishing what I deliver for value for the people I'm blessed to serve. But ultimately, we are a rounding error. You have 120 hours of coaching yourself. One more key thing I want to mention, attribute of an extremely positive self-coach. This is probably the most important thing about all this. Coaching yourself as if you already are who you have the potential to be. Coach yourself as if you already are who you have the potential to be. That's the best guidance I've received in my life from my late beautiful mom, who I only had for 12 years. That's what, like her whole thing. Okay, Jonathan, I was like little, but she'd tell me, no, you got to view yourself and others as if they already are who they have the potential to be. When you coach yourself that way, as already one of the top mortgage advisors in the world, and I would argue more importantly, not as a jab at your industry, as one of the top spouses in the world, partners in the world, parents in the world, friends of the world, sibling, whatever, list goes on and on. When you view yourself that way, you speak to yourself that way, you hydrate yourself that way, you put proper nutrients in your body. I'm not talking being perfect, by the way, guys. That's a joke. Nobody does that. Like, no, we're normal. We get, we have Friday night pizza night or whatever. I'm not talking 24/7. I'm just talking in general, the way you treat yourself, the way you speak to yourself, hydrate, your approach on alcohol, all of that, you up your game. Because now you're not like, no, I'm not going to treat myself as I am right now. I'm going to treat myself as I know I have the potential to be. This is what I do with every one of these young athletes. If they're not in one of those 5 leagues, so say I get like a top high school person or a top college athlete that's going to go into those 5 leagues, first coaching call, I'll say to them, if the kid's name's Pete, I'll be like, from this second forward, you're NBA Pete. Like, you're literally going to view yourself as if you are already in the NBA. I know you're in high school and you're going to Maryland next year or North Carolina or whatever. From this second forward, you're NBA Pete. Again, you could say, well, is it nerdy? Call it whatever you want, but call it proven, and it flat out works. We will elevate based on how we see ourselves. Dave and Todd, want to jump in on any of that?
It makes me think of how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And I love the fact they say it's not perfection, right? Pizza Friday. I'm glad to hear that the Roche family has Pizza Friday, but ultimately, that one always has been impactful, right? Not just to view yourself as for having the potential that you have to be, but also those around you, coach them as if they have that potential already. Because I think that's a hard one, right? We see our coworkers, we see our friends, especially if we're in a leadership position or a coaching position, and we're thinking, I can't believe they didn't do that. Like, I can't believe that's so easy. And then instead, it's actually, we got to be putting on that different filter. And I just really, that's another game changer. I guess I've got game changer after game changer from you, Jonathan, but that's definitely one, because I think potential is so important. And everyone's got their vision for it. And I love the fact that you brought that up.
Yeah. And the one thing before we get to the second habit, I think we got the first one down. but I want to really put an explanation out around what you say out loud. So when I interviewed, by the way, I put the interview I did, it's about a 20-30 minute interview with Trevor Moad. I put a link to that. If you're watching this on YouTube, there'll be a link down below to listen to that. But he was telling a story that when he was the mindset coach with Alabama, and he said the two of the things that we really implemented as standards to just create culture of winning. One of them was no fast food during the season. So he's like, hey, if I could just get, every player on the Alabama team not to eat fast food during the season, that would be moving in the right way. And then when we're at practice or we're at a game, there's no complaining.
Hmm.
Like if we could just do those two things, because remember, what you say, if it's negative, it's not good for culture. So I think as we roll into 2026, that like no fast food, not a bad idea for all of us. And no complaining. Like don't say anything out loud unless it's important. You have control over the outcome, and it's true. So if you think about it, there are so many things that people complain about that aren't necessarily true. You're just making assumptions, you're giving your opinion. It's not like a truth, and it's not something that you have control over, and it's not something that your complaint is going to help. So don't do it. So Jonathan, what's number two, and anything you want to say after that?
I want to add real quick, and don't worry, I'm not butchering the timing, you guys, believe it or not. And I should have told Dave and Todd this ahead of time. What we covered was the core. We're going to get into these other two, but that first one's super important. And I don't want to move away from it yet. We'll just spend a couple more minutes. I want you to put pen to paper on what's your breakdown. So the total needs to be 100%. And just be real with yourself. And don't worry, we're not posting on Facebook or Instagram, whatever. No, it's just initial pass. Like, all right, if I think of the last week, how am I coaching myself? Hopefully it's like I don't do the extreme negative. Okay, we're getting rid of that. And then just go down the line and because what you'll see is the opportunity to move it down. We're trying to get to the goal, by the way, is 20% positive, and I would definitely write this down. The goal is 20% positive and 80% extremely positive. 10-second note, extremely positive isn't creepy fake smile, everything's great. You're like, what is this dude? No, it just means extremely positive in your own head. It's a positive experience. It's not a weird look. We use the word extremely positive self-coaching. So take a minute right now and write your scores.
So, Jonathan, what do you recommend, like, as a good process for someone on this? I mean, I'm fortunate because I have to be prepared for our coaching calls because you're going to ask me, and I have to have thought about it ahead of time versus trying to process it live. And so, what do you recommend to someone who doesn't have a coach and is doing their best to, I always hate to say it, hold themselves accountable?
I think initially is what we're doing right now, which is looking back on a week and being like, all right, we can't figure out where we're going until we know where we are. That's one of the oldest principles in personal and professional development. And just kind of getting a snapshot of that. And then you go, okay, give me a tool, which is kind of what you're indirectly saying. Like, all right, coach us, give us a tool on how to move down. When you're getting lectured by your extremely negative voice or your negative voice, the quickest way to cut it off is to simply ask yourself, what does my positive voice think? It's literally that. And the positive voice quickly goes, it's just not that big a deal. Just what Dave was talking about. Like, why are we getting fired up about this?
What about a journaling sequence where because I just saw someone document, but like mostly negative, passive, sometimes, sometimes positive, that people write it down, and then to me, and I'm just winging it here, to literally, is it true? Like, is it a fact? Like, whatever your negative voice is it just like, fact? Two, do you have control of whatever the outcome it is? And if you don't have control, forget about it. Like move freaking on. And if you do have control, actually write the action steps down to positively impact whatever it is and do it. I don't know. I'm just, would that be a good little journaling exercise for the self fixer here.
I believe so. Yes, especially if you're someone that's into journaling, leverage that talent or that skill set. It's like, no, I've already got my reps in on that. Like I do that anyway on my gratitude list or whatever. But anytime, because what a part of it too, Dave, I'll mention when you put it on paper, then maybe you go have dinner with your family, right? And then maybe the next day you read it and you're reading it and you're like, is that how I speak to myself? Like, and you're almost like thinking, that can't be how I speak to myself. Like, no, I wrote it yesterday. That's what I was literally saying. And then you realize Dave just threw another alley-oop, you guys, which is you actually can control your mindset. That's why I love coaching. Some people go to my website page, they go, oh, he's all Mr. Positive, rah, rah. No, I'm not a motivator. I guide people in three key ways: building world-class mindsets, world-class habits, and world-class discipline, all of which are controllables. They are. And once you take ownership of that, it's scary because then you own it. I'm not blaming my nutty boss or the rates or blah, blah. But then it's super empowering. Like, this is awesome, man. I don't need anything. I have it all. And now, even though it's scary, I can see it as clear as day. I can control all of this. But there's a process. There's a process. Like, we got to crawl, walk, run, sprint. So a lot of times, like, I'm not trying to be like a elitist snob, but I'm just to be candid. January is an awesome time, right? Like, cool, new year, here we go. But on the flip side, it's difficult because all these people get duped by their negative voice that they're going to just all of a sudden be fit or energized or enthusiastic. And really, when it comes to January, anytime, we have two choices. We can hurry up and fail, or we can take our time and win. Negative voice does not like that. But no, I don't like the whole thing. Okay, well, then go ahead and do the first thing. Hurry up and fail. Or you can take your time and win. When I say take your time and win, I'm not saying sit on the couch and be like, Dave, how you doing, man? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I'm just sitting here looking at the wall. No, you got to do the work, but it works. We good before we go to number two? Dave, Todd, you want to jump in and do that?
One more little nugget I want to throw in. I did an interview a couple days ago with Harmony. I'm trying to interview more top producing loan officers, and Harmony is part of a I think $110 million team. She kicks butt. And in that interview, she just brought up the fact that she was talking about like, what is she doing? What is she focusing on? And it's never complaining about realtors. Like I'm just never going to do it. I'm not going to complain about realtors. So I throw that out as something for people to consider, like no fast food, and no complaining about realtors out loud. Like just
Well, and
stop it.
I'm gonna start tracking it here at the end of my day where I track my habits in my planner. So I'm just gonna put my positive. That way I'll be a little more accurate, Jonathan, for our calls by tracking it on a daily basis in my planner. And I would compliment you with that, Dave. You know, you always look at everything the glass half full. Like my kids, I have a sweatshirt that's years old that says half full, right? It shows a glass. It's one of those life is good shirts because that's always the lens that I believe I look through. But I say, Dave, you look through that. Like one of the biggest impacts of our friendship has been, something comes our way and you're always like, oh, that's awesome. And you look at the awesome parts first. And I used to find that I used to be like, oh, yeah, that's cool. But, and I was looking for the but, and you were always looking for the, yeah, let's go. And so that's one of the things that I always want to make sure I compliment you on, Dave. But I believe I'm doing a better job on it now, thanks to you, Jonathan.
Hey, so one more thing, because this is, part of my personal code, which I talk about a lot on this, is always better, never bitter. And that's something that I work hard to live according to that code. But there's a lot of subcodes, things that I believe in. And so one of them, Todd, and you've heard me say this quote, I just put it in chat, but God, it's been 28 years because my daughter turned 27 yesterday. And a few months before she was born, my wife and I were at a swap meet shopping for, the baby room. And there was this picture, this painting, and it had the words, two men in a prison cell, one man sees the bars, the other sees the stars. And I saw that. And I'm like, ooh, I want to be the man in the prison cell that always sees the stars. And by the way, I want my kids, I want my family to be like that. So that is an intention. And by the way, that is a quote that I say to myself often because, I'll start thinking about the bars. I am human, but that is just a tool for y'all to think about as we want to not complain about realtors and get a better mindset. So Jonathan, we got 15 minutes left. I'll let you pace it, but what are some of the other habits?
Number two is embrace discomfort. And you're like, what's the rest of it? Nope, that's it. Embrace discomfort. Well, like as humans, we move away from discomfort. Like, Dave, I think I'm going to burn my hand or whatever. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that that it'd be intelligent to move away from. Typically, though, and I'm not trying to sound like I'm 90, but stay with me on this, you guys. Our lives are really easy. We have like heated seats in our car. I have like heated steering wheels. It's like our lives are nuts. You could sit at your house. You don't need to leave. Everything's set up to make our lives easier. But the problem is that has dulled our ability to absorb discomfort. So whether you're talking sports, business, or life, we deserve to lean in on discomfort. I don't feel like making the calls. You make the calls anyway. Not if you're in a town, like a total downer mood. You should probably do something to get your energy going a little bit, but then make the calls and lean in. I'm blessed. I received a call from my college lacrosse coach. I was blessed. I played soccer and lacrosse in college. So my soccer lacrosse coach called me. I'm going to go speak to the team next Friday for Bentley University. It's Division II in Massachusetts. One of the stories I'm going to share is about this idea of embracing discomfort. And when I transferred, I'll keep the story quick, but it speaks to what I'm coaching you guys on, which is when I transferred from UMass Amherst to Bentley, I was down in Scituate where I live. It's about 50 minutes from Bentley. The forecast was 100 degrees. I'm like, I want to go on that campus and train on their turf. So I drove over there. It was in July. I hopped over the fence and I started training. A white Cadillac pulled up and was just sitting watching me while I was training. And then all of a sudden they beeped and they rolled the window down and the guy goes like this. And I go over to him and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm training." And he goes, "That turf is only for Bentley athletes. Did you jump the fence?" And I said, "Yeah, I jumped the fence and I'm a Bentley athlete." And he goes, "Are you the goalie from UMass?" And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "My dashboard says 101. That turf's probably 110 or higher. Why are you training right now?" And I said, "Because the guys from Babson are definitely not training right now." That was the main team, like the big competitor. And he looked at me, he goes, "When you get to campus next month, come and see me in my office." And I said, "Okay, awesome." He's like, "I'm Bob D. Felice. I'm the athletic director." I said, "All right, cool." And so I ran off and kept training. I went to his office next month. He says to me, "Hey, did Pete give you a stipend for your books and stuff?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You can spend that on whatever you want. For your entire time at Bentley, I'm covering your books. I already talked to Sandy. She knows you're going to come to her every quarter. Every book you need is they're all for the football team, but you're going to be part of that for your entire team time here. I can see your leadership. I can see what you're about to do." That's not, "Hey, you guys listen to me. Like, hey, Dave, cue up the Glory Days music." No, we've got to embrace discomfort so that we become comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what I do. I coach 3 starting NFL quarterbacks. I coach, as I mentioned before, 2 of the top 10 golfers in the world, 6 NBA All-Stars. We intentionally have them train in discomfort. And then as it supposedly gets so uncomfortable, that's just a familiar plane in which they operate. Like it's like, man, he looks like you could punch him in the face 5 times and he would just get up every time. Yeah, I know, because he would. But it's not that he came out of his mom like that. It's all trained up. And if you look at the greats, like we'll choose Shant, right? Shant doesn't feel awesome every day. He's a human being. But he is trained in discomfort and he knows how to show up. That's what the greats do, whether we're talking sports, business, or life. So we want to embrace discomfort. That's why, like, the weather shouldn't get a vote. If you're going to run or walk or go to a workout, do it. I run, period. I only check the weather 15 minutes before. It doesn't matter. Why? Because I'm going to adjust my clothes. Besides that, it's happening. And then I know I can do it. And it's not a braggy, I'm the man, but it's this sense of like, I am trained up. I am comfortable being uncomfortable. And again, when you're comfortable being uncomfortable, you become unstoppable. Dave, Todd, any thoughts on this?
Yeah,
You go first. I
I've run
want
in
to
the
write
rain
that
more than
down.
I've run in a long time, and I've been in the rain more since I've got this laser focused on my whoop and my whoop age that you've got me all jacked up about.
Well, I love that quote. When you become comfortable being uncomfortable, you become unstoppable. I loved that. Like just like a quote. Code. I'm trying to write it down here. So what's number 3?
Number 3 is mental pacing. Mental pacing. So you go, we've talked about this last time I was on here, Dave and Todd, which is, and this is really important because the numbers I'm about to share, once you hear them, you guys, you can't unhear them. Brain's an energy hog. It takes up 2% of our body mass, but it uses 25% of our energy. And when you're in a high stress situation, right, you're in front of the real estate professional you're trying to partner with, or you're in front of the Smiths and you want to earn this opportunity to serve, the actually energy expenditure goes up to 30 to 40%. So you're like burning it. This is why we go home. You don't say to your spouse or your partner, like, man, my quads are killing me. No, we're not professional runners. We're tired. Our brain's tired. So we want to mentally pace so that you end the day in as much of a light state as you started it. And then you don't stick your family with your B game with the whole like, oh, mom's kind of tired or dad's tired. You've been pouring it all in all day. I'm sorry. I'm your coach right now. That's an excuse. You're too world class to let that happen in 26. It's not happening anymore. We're cutting that off. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to pace ourselves. How do you pace yourself? Well, if a call ends, what time is it right now, you guys? So say I'm like, we're on just a call, the 3 of us. We're not doing a podcast, but we're just catching up. And Dave goes, hey, sorry guys, we got to end early. Typically, what most people do is if we had planned on being on till 1, we get off. Dave does whatever he needed to do, but Todd and I will start firing through text and checking email, and then we're going to call someone really quick. Ba, 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 ba. And then we're going to jump on our 1 o'clock and expect to bring our A game. It's like, what would happen if you took the 9 minutes and you actually exhaled and you turned and you looked at a picture, your spouse or your cutie kids or some cool thing you did with your adult kids or whatever, and you actually treated yourself like a professional athlete. If this is all you get out of today's call, take these next couple of minutes. Operate like a professional athlete. Because ultimately, regardless of what field you play on, mortgage professional, professional athlete, performance coach, like mailman, whatever, we actually get paid to feel awesome. So someone go, no, I got to deliver a world-class mortgage experience, or you got to coach people, or got to throw the football, whatever. Yeah, those are outcomes that we do need to deliver, or we won't have a job. But on the front end, we actually get paid to feel awesome. We do. And so part of that should be your pacing on how you pace your brain during the day. So that if you get a call, like for me, I'll get a call or a text from an agent. Hey, Jonathan, I want to connect. And I've actually gotten 2 of them in the last 48 hours. Like, hey, I got a new athlete for you. I kid you not. There's no like, okay. I literally grab my phone and so he says, hey, this is Pete Smith or whatever. I literally do a video text immediately. I'm talking like within a minute. I grab my phone. I go, hey, Pete, Aaron just sent me a contact info, fired up to connect with you. And I just bring the energy and the enthusiasm immediately. And then I send it. But I'm not like, oh, crap, it's 4:30. I'm kind of run down. I think I'll text the guy tomorrow. That's not happening. World-class people are game ready 24/7. We didn't come out of our moms like this. We pay the fees. We do extremely positive self-coaching. We embrace discomfort. We operate like a professional athlete as far as how we treat our bodies and our mind. And then we're game ready. I don't care if it's 4:30. If I have an opportunity for you guys to serve the Smiths or vibe with a real estate professional, I'm bringing it right now. Bees are not ready 24/7 because they're not willing to do it. They go, I don't think I'm going to do that. Thoughts, Dave, Todd?
So guys, so this year, every Tuesday at 8 a.m., I am publishing a LinkedIn newsletter. So make sure, one, you're subscribing to that. And I'm going to take today's call because I just think this is such an important just pillar of success. I mean, all 3 of these habits they'll help managers be better managers. They'll help loan officers be better folks. So I won't get it done by this coming Tuesday, I don't think. But by the next Tuesday, this will be our, my weekly, called Modern Mortgage Leadership newsletter, where I'll just break this down. So if you're a manager, I'll break it down so you could literally teach this. I do want to remind you, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, every week, I'm releasing multiple interviews with top producers and leaders like Jonathan. So make sure you're subscribing to that. Make sure you're subscribing to our Instagram, UncommonLO. There was a couple clips that Jonathan said that I was like, oh, that'd be a great little 1 minute, leadership clip in Uncommon LO. So make sure you're following that. So Jonathan, as always, dude, you're amazing. We've still got 5 minutes left to go in this show. So for anybody who's watching football, think of this as the last 2 minutes of the game. And I've got to jump into another call, but I'm gonna have Todd close it out. So Todd, I don't know whether how you want to close it, but I'll let you run these last couple minutes.
Well, have a great call, Dave. I know what it's an important call you've got coming up. You don't leave these calls very often, and so I'm excited for what you're working on there. It's funny. It makes me think about that, right? You look at the teams that are left, and you've got these young quarterbacks who have been winning this year in that on the last drive, even last weekend. There was, I think, almost all of the games, but maybe one or two were decided on the last drive, some on the last play of the game. And so, Jonathan, give us your closeout to the end of this, the implementation stack. Like, what are the top ways for people now to take what they just learned? Right, I've got a page of notes, and I've already got these notes from you coaching it on me personally in my phone. So what are we doing? Where are we going from here?
Yeah, so a couple of things real quick. Reach out to me through LinkedIn if you have any questions, you need anything. Okay, I'm not going to send you some like creepy, like, do you want me to coach you? If there's someone really world class, I occasionally will reach out directly to them, but that's very rare. So don't worry, I'm not going to do that to you. If I can serve you in a way, reach out through LinkedIn. My site is peaklockin.com, peaklockin.com. So if you want to learn about coaching or me speaking to your event, or you want to come, we're going to have a Peak Performance Academy in our backyard that we just renovated. We're going to do that in June. You want to learn about any of that, peaklockin.com. Also, you can link up with me on Facebook. What Todd mentioned about, okay, coach, how are we going to take action on this? Let me just give you two quick things I've been coaching a lot of people on, Todd included. Number one, you deserve to do a race report for 2025. It's just 4 questions. Now, your negative voice will go, I don't want to do this, or it's too much work. We have time for Netflix. We have time for Facebook and Instagram. We have time to do a race report. It's just 4 questions. What went well? What didn't go well? Key lessons and takeaways. Key adjustments. Key is to have your positive voice at the podium. So what went well? What didn't go well? Key lessons and takeaways. Key adjustments. We're focusing on fun and growth. We want to have the most fun you've ever had as a mortgage advisor, and then grow at the quickest clip you can grow at as a person or as a professional. That's what my role is as a performance coach. We don't want to let a whole year go by and not mind the growth. Why would you do that? Let's do a race report. Every athlete I coach, all these NFL quarterbacks, they do a race report the end of every game. NBA players, PGA players after every tournament, they all do it. They do race reports because I attract A's. A's do stuff like that. That's called coachability. No, I didn't ask if you want to do it. Are you going to do it? Well, I don't know if I want to do it. Okay, if you want to join the B team, stay over there. If you want to be an A, you want to be world class, you want to show up as your best self, we do things like race reports, even when we don't want to do them. Or we run in the rain. That's the first one. Second one, super simple. Here it is. When you're at your best, it's almost too simple. You'd be like, where's the fancy? No, there's no fancy, guys. When you are at your best, comma, what 3 to 5 things are you nailing? I'm Boston slang, if you didn't pick that up, right? Nailing, you could use some other word, but like, just like it's happening. What 3 to 5 things are like your military on? And then what 3 to 5 things are you not doing? Like, you're not doing it. It might be soda. It might be Red Bulls. It might be more than 2 glasses of wine on a Friday or Saturday night. It might be more than 5 minutes of social media, whatever. You know, because you were that person. At some point, you were ripping it. I don't care who you are. We've all had windows like, man, Todd, that was the moment I was locked in. What was happening? It's not physics. I'm not trying to be rude as we finish up, you guys. I'm just coaching you. There were 3 to 5 things that you were nailing then, and there were 3 to 5 things that you were not doing, period. I don't care what you do. You can try to force me. It's not happening. If we just do a race report and then you just look at when I'm at my best, I do I do all these and I don't do these. And then you decide, okay, in summary, I'm going to be an extremely positive self coach. I'm going to embrace discomfort, including acting on the gold I mined from the race report and from when I'm at my best document. And then third, I'm going to mentally pace myself. You will crush 2026. I'm not trying to be a motivator. I'm your coach, though, as your performance coach for this hour. You will trounce it. It's literally that simple. No quick fix, no shiny object, no hack. You got to do it, though. And by the way, that version of you is in there. I don't believe there's a person on this planet that needs to change. All we really deserve to do is reveal who we already are. Period. That's who God built, in my view. If you don't believe in God, then use universe. Universe built you. Brilliant, athletic, resourceful, kind, can crush it as a mortgage advisor, right? That she's in there. My role as your performance coach, what Todd and Deborah and Dave are trying to do is get you to peel off the layers. We're not trying to change into someone else. We're just trying to get you to reveal who you already are. That's my finishing like touch on taking this thing to the goal line.
I can't add any value other than to give a little bit of coaching that you got to get this in your calendar, right? I'll be the first to tell you I've started my race report for Jonathan and I have not gotten it there, and I do not want him to think I'm a B player. However, ironically, I already have it in my calendar for this weekend to finish the race report. If you don't have it scheduled, it doesn't get done. Guess why mine didn't get done? Because it was on my to-do list, but it wasn't on my calendar. There's a huge difference between being intentional and actually moving the intention to taking action. And so it's one of those things where I think you have to think through this. Now, in my planner, at the end of every week, it's got a keep, start, stop. It's almost like a mini race report in there. So I built that habit in over the year. And for me, the excuse I told myself is I've got to grab my planner and I've got to go back and look at some of those wins. But as Jonathan's thinking, I'm planning out, okay, how can I do this different and better in 2026? And so here's the bottom line. You got to go back and listen to this again. So if you're watching this live, I expect you to be watching the recording when it gets posted later today. If you're watching the recording now, I want you to think about who are the 1, 2, or 3 people that came to mind when Jonathan was talking about this that you think you should share this interview with. I think this is perfect for maybe a coworker, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, somebody who you think might need a little bit of a push in the positive direction, or that you already know is positive and you think this will take them to that next level. So this is a huge opportunity for you to help others around you as well as help yourself. And Jonathan, you know it. I'm super grateful for you. I feel so blessed that I get to get on the phone with you and walk through it. And that's what I do. I walk through it. Jonathan, I'm a walker and talker with Jonathan. I literally have my phone and I'm taking notes. I think people think I'm crazy when I'm out there, but it's crazy in the best way possible. So, so appreciative that you took the time to pour into our community. Appreciative that you always pour into me personally and everyone here. You all are amazing. And I see you with the potential that I know you have in you. So can't wait to hear how you take this and make 2026 truly the best year you can be. As Jonathan Shirt says, be the exception. We'll see you all soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Todd. See you guys.